Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we are going to discuss about module 2. Subject name is project management and subject code is BME654A. So very important questions or the topics which I have referred from the PYQs, previous year question, and it covers the planning projects, scheduling projects, WBS project scope checklist, and then we have project priorities and the Gantt chart. So these are the topics. Okay, so these are the topics from the module 2 which you have to read for the exam. So in this video I'm going to tell you, like, for specific topic or the specific keyword is there in that question, so what answer you have to write, what keywords you have to remember is what I'm going to tell in this video. So stay till the end and note down the keywords. And again I am repeating that if you want to refer the textbook diagram, you can refer. If you have the hard copy of the textbook, you can refer the diagram if anywhere it is necessary. If not, you can also refer the diagrams which I'm going to show on this PPT. Okay, and this is the last minute preparation, right? So even if you read this things, okay, these many topics and go to the exam, okay, and if you write these keywords, if you use these keywords in your exam, in your answer sheets, definitely you're going to pass. And not only just pass, you can definitely score good marks as well. So yeah, so just concentrate and note down the keywords for the specific topics, and same thing, you have to revise twice and just go to exam and write these things. Okay, so let's get started. So now here you can see the coverage of this, video flow. It is going to be the project scope and the project checklist, project priorities, where you are going to have time, cost, scope, quality, work breakdown structure, which is WBS, integration WBS with organizations, coding WBS for the information systems. Right. So under the scheduling projects, we study the purpose of project schedule, development of schedule, limitation of schedules, and uncertainty in the schedules and the Gantt chart. So the flow of this model is very easy to remember. First, we define the scope, then we prepare the WBS. From WBS, we identify the activities, and then we prepare the schedule. Okay, and finally, we use the schedule for the control. Clear? So remember the sequence: scope, WBS, and then you have third is activity, then schedule and the control. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So here you can see most expected PYQs in the module 2. These are the most expected areas from this here module. The first important topic is project scope. Here you should know the definition, steps, inclusions and exclusions. Okay, here you should know the definition, steps, inclusions and exclusion. And the second topic is scopes checklist. Here you should write the objectives, deliverables, milestones, risk and acceptance criteria. Okay, and next you have WBS. So here you have to write the most, whatever the WBS hierarchy and the 100% rule, and also along with one example. So this is very very important question. Okay, WBS is a very important topic in this unit. So go understand what WBS is, the hierarchy and the 100% rule, and one examples for that. Okay, so next fourth topic, you can see the schedule development. Here you should explain the activity list, sequence duration, resources and schedule baseline. And the fifth is Gantt chart. Here you should explain its significance and how it is going to help in the overcoming uncertainty. Clear? And in the exam answer you have to follow this formula, which where you have to define it. If diagram is the diagram you can draw, and 6 to 8 points you have to write. Okay, don't write answer in paragraph. Okay, so write in points and then write one example and then conclude the answer. So this is the flow of writing the theory exam. Okay, and don't write any movie story or your life story in the answer sheet. Even if you don't know whatever keywords are used, okay, here in the slides, those keywords you can pick and write the answer in your own words. Okay, so related to subjects, keywords only you have to use for the answers. Remember that trick. Okay, so let's start with the questions. So this was just the overview or just important topics which is covered for the module 2. So now next slide I'm going to start with the questions or the topics. Okay, for the specific topics, what answer you are going to write. So here you can see the first question is, okay, define the project scope and step. The first step, okay, first step you should know, you have to define it. So what does project scope? Project scope is a complete boundary of work required to complete the project successfully. Okay, project scope is a complete boundary of work required to deliver the project output successfully. Okay, so next, it clearly tells what work is included, what work it is excluded, what deliverables are expected, and what expectations criteria should be satisfied. Okay, so these three things you should know. What works, okay, so it clearly tells us what work is included, what work is excluded, and third is what deliverables are expected, and fourth is what acceptance criteria should be satisfied. Okay, so the steps are, first step is understand the customer need or the problem. First you should understand the customer need or the problem. Second it is, okay, second it is the objective. So here convert that need into measurable objectives. Okay, so whatever need is that you have to convert into measurable objectives. And the third is deliverables, to identify the deliverables. And the fourth list the inclusions and exclusions. And fifth is to define the assumptions and constraints. And finally, set of expect acceptance criteria and get the approval. So this flow you can remember for the defined project scope and the steps. So write with the definitions, what project is, what project scope is, and then write this steps. Okay, five, six steps are there for this thing, so that you can include. And for example, and then you also include the example. Let's say in a CNC machine installation project, the scope may include procurement foundation. Okay, foundation work, it is going to include the foundation work, power connection, and machine installation, trial run, and operator training. Okay, so I'm talking about here CNC machine project. The scope may include the foundation work and then power connection, machine installation, trial run, and operator training, right? So in the exam, just draw the flow of block diagram and explain each keyword. Okay, by taking any example. So you can just write the example for the project scope and the step. Okay, so these are the keywords you have to remember for this thing. Okay, next is, okay, so we are done with first question. Next we have project scope checklist. So the next question they can ask is, explain project scope checklist. So what is project scope? A project scope checklist is used to verify whether all important scope details are clearly defined before starting detailed planning. Okay. The project scope is the checklist used to verify whether all the scope details are clearly defined before starting detailed planning. First item is objective. It tells the final measurable goal of the project. Second is deliverables. These are the outputs such as drawings, reports, prototypes, machines, or completed systems. And third you can see is, it is the milestones. These are the major control points like approval, installation, testing, or handover. And fourth, you can say technical requirements. These include the specification, capacity, quality, and the standards. And the fifth, you can see the limits or limits and exclusions. This tells what work is not included in the project and helps prevent scope creep. And sixth, you can see that it is the acceptance criteria. These are the conditions for the final approval. And finally, we include the assumptions, constraints, and risk. And the benefit of the scope checklist is that it gives the clear boundaries, which supports the better WBS preparations and reduces the disputes and the improves while improving the change of the control. Okay, so these are the criteria which you have to checklist item which you have to remember. Okay, and according to the checklist item, you can give the description or the meaning. Okay, so in this you can just use this keywords, remember this keyword for the project scope checklist. Okay, if you read the slide and if you write these points, definitely you can, even if it is asked for 8 or 10 marks, if you write this many things is more than enough. Okay, and next question is project priorities and priority matrix. So they can ask you like this, explain project priorities and priority matrix. So what project priority helps? Okay, how it is going to help? So it is going to help in project manager decide what should be protected and when there is a conflict between time, cost, and scope or the quality. Okay, so these things we have seen in the unit 1. Okay, what is project priority, what is project selection, it is covered in the module 1. Okay, so there I have explained you with the example what is project selection and what is project priority. So here we are talking about project priority. So project priority is going to help the project manager to decide what to be protected when the conflict, okay, when there is a conflict between the time, cost, and scope or the quality. Clear? So these four keywords you have to remember. And there are three terms which is constrain, enhance, and accept. So what is constraint? Constraint means a fixed and must be achieved. Okay, constraint is something which is going to be fixed and also must be achieved. Next keyword you can see or next term you can see is enhance. So enhance means it should be the improved version as much as possible. Okay, so enhance means it should be improved as much as possible. Okay, and next you can see third keyword which is accept. So accept means it can be very within a reasonable limit. Okay, so accept means it can be very, okay, vary within the reasonable limit. So these three keywords meaning you have to know, you should know, and write the answer according to these keywords. Okay, and whenever you are writing any theory exam, do not forget to underline these keywords. Okay, the keywords is going to attract your faculties or teachers. Okay, they will think that yeah, you have read and you know the keywords from the specific subject. Okay, so it is going to highlight it and it is going to make them easier to give marks. Okay, so do not forget, so whatever answer you are going to start with, okay, the whatever module answers you know first, so start with that and underline the keywords. Okay, very important. And a second thing is you should write down in the points. Okay, do not write in the paragraph. Okay, next. Okay, so remember these keywords for this answer: project priorities and project matrix. First one is constraint, second is enhance, and the accept. And here also you can give the example like before an NBA inspection, the completion date may be fixed, so time is the constraint. Okay, before the MBA inspection. Okay, so MBA inspection is done in the organization. I here organization means I'm talking about the colleges. Okay, so will be every 4 years they will be having the NBA inspection. So the completion date may be fixed, but so the time is the here the time is the constraint. So quality should be improved as much as possible, so quality is enhanced. Okay, so here in the organization they will try to improve the quality. Okay, the quality of teaching, the quality of environment. Okay, so the quality of infrastructure. Okay, so they will try to enhance it, right? They will try to improve it. So that is quality. And cost may vary within the approved limit, so cost is accepted. Okay, so cost may vary within the approved limit and cost is accepted. Right? This matrix is useful when trade-off decisions are required in the project. Okay, right? So what I'm saying here, the matrix is useful whenever the trade-off decisions are required in the project. Okay, so here, like example, you can include the NBA inspection. Okay, which is done for the colleges. Okay, colleges organization. Next, we have work breakdown structure. Okay, so remember this diagram. This is one of the most important PYQs. They will ask like this: define WBS, explain it with a suitable examples. So WBS means work breakdown structure. It is a hierarchical decomposition of the total project scope into smaller deliverables. Okay, deliverable oriented components and work packages. It is a hierarchical decomposition of a total project scope into smaller deliverable oriented components and work packages. In simple words, WBS breaks the full project into smaller manageable parts. For example, let's say consider a CNC machine installation project. At level 1, what is going to happen? We have a complete project, right? Installation should be done, okay, in machine project. At level 2, what you are going to do? It is divided into project management, site management, then you have procurement, and then installation, testing, and handover. So then each part can be further divided. For the example, let's say site preparation can include the foundation and power work, right? Installation can be include positioning and the alignment. So the most important rule is here is 100% rule. Okay, which means WBS should include 100% of the approved project scope and no extra work. Okay, 100% of the approved project scope and no extra work. Okay, 100% rule you have to remember in this topic. And let's move to the next question, which is WBS features. So here you can see, here let's see the features and the labels of WBS. WBS is deliverable oriented, not only activity oriented. It breaks total work into a manageable work package, right? Each lower level gives more detail and it helps in estimating the cost, time, resources, and responsibility. Okay, so each lower level is going to gives more detail. So it is going to help in estimating the cost, time, resources, and responsibility. And the levels of WBS are, let's say in level 1 is the complete project. Level 2 is going to have the major deliverables. Level 3 is a sub deliverables. And the lowest level is called the work package. Okay, which can be assigned and controlled. Okay, the lower level is called as a work package. Okay, which can be assigned and controlled. All right. Next, you can see while preparing the WBS, remember these rules. Okay, remember these rules. Very important. Follow the 100% rule. Make package manageable. First, I am saying follow the 100% rule. Next, I'm saying making package manageable. Third is avoid overlap. Fourth is give clear names and the codes. And last one, fifth is and involve the project team. I repeat, you have to, while preparing the WBS, remember these rules. Okay, there are 5 rules, 4 rules. Okay, first one is make package manageable. Second is avoid overlap. Third is give clear names and codes. And fourth is involve the project team. So in exam, always draw the simple tree diagram for the WBS. Okay, if you have the textbook, you if there are any diagrams, you can refer that. Even if you don't have, no worries, because this is very last minute preparation. If you don't have time to search the diagrams in your textbook, so you can always prefer this whatever is there in the slide. Even if you use this in your exam, it is fine. Okay, let's move to the next slide or next question. Here we are talking about integrating WBS with organization. Okay, and for this unit, do not skip the part of WBS. So whatever questions are there related to WBS, you have to read. Very important topic it is. First is, sorry, the question they can ask is, explain integration of WBS with organization structure. So WBS tells what work must be done. First, understand this. WBS tells us what work must be done. Organization structure tells us who will do the work. Clear? WPS tells us what work must be done, and the organization structure tells who will do the work. When we combine both, we can assign each work package to the responsible, right? Responsible person, right? We are going to give or assign the work to the responsible department or the person, right? This is usually done using what? Responsibility assignment matrix, and also called as RAM. Okay, so RAM here, what RAM stands for? Responsibility assignment matrix. Okay, here RAM stands for responsibility assignment matrix. The flow is WBS work package, then followed by OBS department, followed by RAM responsibility matrix. Okay, so here RAM stands for responsibility assignment matrix. Okay, in the table, R means responsible, A means accountable, and C means consulted. Okay, so again here you can see RAM is stands for, also stands for, R means responsible, A means accountable, and C means consulted. Okay, or you can also tell it as responsibility assignment matrix. Okay, two names are there. So for example, the foundation work, the civil department may be responsible, okay, for project manager may be accountable, and the maintenance and the quality terms may be consulted. So this integration is going to improve the accountability, communication, and the control. Okay, so these keywords you have to remember for the integration WBS with the organization. Okay, moving on to the, so this diagram, I mean table and this flow you can remember, and then write these things in your sentences. Okay, keywords you have to remember, and sentences you can write it. Okay, next we have coding WBS for the information system. They can ask you like, explain coding of WBS for the information system. So WBS coding means giving a unique identification number to each WBS element, which is going to help in tracking the schedule, costs, resources, and progress data. Let's say for example 1.0 may represent the total project. 1.1 may represent the project management. 1.2 may represent site preparation. 1.2.1 may represent the foundation work. 1.2.1.1 may represent marking the foundation area. Okay, so here you have to give the unique identification number. So here unique identification number are these, right? 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.2.1, okay, 1.2.1.1. So these are the unique identification code or WPS code, which is going to represent something, okay, something task you are going to give. Okay, so that will be handled, okay, handled by the specific team or specific person. Okay, so task will be handled, and for that task you have to give a unique identification number or the WBS code. Okay, So the need for WBS coding is because every work package gets a unique identity, and then cost and progress data can be collected correctly. Reports can be generated by the project, activity, or the department, and change can be controlled very, very easily, right? It also use okay, it is also going to be useful in the project management software like MS Project or ERP system. For example, let's say code 1.2.1 can track the foundation labor cost, concrete cost, start date, finish date, and progress percentage. Right? So it can be very easy for to track the work done. Okay, and if we have the unique identification, so that unique identification will have the collectively relatable data to track on or to analyze the data of that specific task. Okay, or that specific team also you can say. Okay, so along with the example, you just explain this coding WBS. Okay, along with the unique identification code will be given. Okay, and along with the meaning, or you can give the examples. So these are the things which you have to remember for the WBS coding. So it is nothing but here you are going to give the unique identification number, that's it, and nothing more. It's not mandatory that you have to give 1.0, 1.1. Here you can consider your unique number code, right? 2.1, 2.2, like that. Okay, and also give the example. So I hope if it is asked, it will be easy for, even if you don't read the, see, if you have listened to this video, even if you don't read this question, if there is asked, you can write on your own, right, along with the example. So yeah, let's move on to the next question, which is purpose and the development of the project schedule. So they can ask you like explain the purpose and development of project schedule. So project schedule is a time-based plan that shows activity of the start date, duration, sequence, milestone, and the finish date. The purpose of project schedule here is it converts the WPS into time-based activities. It is going to show the sequence and the dependency, and also it is going to help the estimate the total duration project duration it is going to help, okay, to help estimate the total project area. And also it is going to allocates the resource and identifies milestone, and it provides a baseline for progress control. Clear? And here project scheduling tools have developed from simple bar charts to the Gantt charts, then CPM and PERT, and finally a software dashboards you have right now. Okay, so these days we have a software dashboards where we can easily analyze the data. Okay, the project progress we can easily understand. Okay, so now next, in simple schedules are useful for the communication, where network techniques are useful for the analysis, and the software dashboards are useful for updating and tracking. So these keywords you have to remember for the purpose and the development of project schedules. So if you see anywhere in the question these keywords called purpose, project schedule, okay, especially project schedule, so you have to write these keywords in your answer. Clear? Next, we have process of developing project schedule. So this can also be an important question. So here you can tell schedule development converts to approved scope and WPS into a practical time plan. So these are the steps which you can write. First is start with the approved scope and WBS. Second, prepare the activity list. And third, arrange the activities in proper sequence. And fourth, you can see identify the dependency. Fifth, you can estimate the duration of the each activity. And sixth, you can see you can just assign the resources, right? And followed by seventh, you can see you prepare the Gantt chart or the network diagram. And then eight, you can just see there is a identify milestone. Next, you have review risk and uncertainty, and finally approve the schedule baseline. While developing the schedules, check the deadlines, resource availability, risk buffers, holidays, and approvals. So the flow to draw is WPS, activity, then sequence, duration, resources, Gantt or network, and then the baseline. Okay, so along with this keyword, remember the keywords and then write a meaning or 1 or 2 points for those keywords. Okay, that's how you're going to write it for 8 or 10 marks, right? Next is limitation and control of the project schedule. So pro, here what you are going to have, project schedule are useful, but they also have a limitations. First, in the early stages, it is going to estimate may be inaccurate, but in second, what resources will be available and may also change. Third, you can also say that vendor delay, transport delay, weather delay, or approval delay may affect the schedule. And next, in the fourth point, you can say that if the schedule has too much detail and it becomes difficult to maintain. Next, schedule becomes useless if it is not updated regularly. So to control the schedule, follow this cycle. First one is plan. Okay, so here you have, right? First you have plan, execute, track, and correct. Right? The project manager should compare plan dates with the actual progress. Then delays should be identified earlier and corrective action should be taken. So remember, a schedule is not only a prepared ones, it must be continuously monitored and updated. Okay, sorry. Next, you have uncertainty project schedules, right? So remember this flow. So you can say schedule uncertainty means that lack of exact knowledge about activity duration, resource dependency, and external conditions. At the beginning of the project, uncertainty is so high, but as the project progresses, the more details becomes available and uncertainty reduces. So here the common sources of uncertainty are wrong duration, which estimates the material delay, vendor delay, machines breakdown, manpower shortage, scope change, design change. Okay, they can change the design of the project, and then sometimes approvals get delayed, weather problems and site condition delays. Okay, such things happens, right? To handle uncertainty, we can use historical data. Okay, 3 point estimate. Then we have contingency buffers, critical activity tracking, milestones, review meetings, and alternate plans. So there should be alternate plans. So in the exam, draw the uncertainty funnel, and then high uncertainty in the early planning, and in the lower uncertainty after the details and the updates. So I repeat again, if you have the textbook, you can refer the textbook diagram. If you don't have, you can also refer this block diagram. Next, this is the Gantt chart over the uncertainty, right, which shows the activity as horizontal bars from plan dates to the finish dates. Okay, and next in the chart, activities are listed on the left side, and time periods like weeks or months are shown on the top. Okay, so bar shows when the activity starts and ends. Okay, the significance of Gantt chart is it gives a clear visual plan of activities and duration. It shows whether the start date and finish dates and activities overlapping or not, and it also shows how improves the communication with stakeholders. It also compares the planned of progress with the actual progress, right? Plan progress with the actual progress, and also it going to help to detect the delays and take the corrective actions. Okay, and also remember, Gantt chart helps to overcome uncertainty through review dates, buffer. These keywords are very important. Through review dates, buffer, rescheduling, then you have milestone tracking and regular updates. So in an exam, draw a small Gantt chart with 5 to 6 activities weekly. Okay, weekly time columns. Okay, weekly time columns. Okay, and activity here you can write on your own along based on your exam. Okay. So let's move to the next question. So here combined note on planning and scheduling. So this slide connects the full module to concept. Okay, planning answers the questions. Okay, what work must be done, and when we talk about scheduling, when will the work will be done. So these are the steps. Okay, so define project scope, prepare scope checklist, set project priorities, then prepare WBS. Then you have to integrate the WBS with the organization. Then comes code WBS for the information system. Prepare activity list from the WBS, the sequence activity and the dependency. And next you have the estimate duration and the resources. And you can have the Gantt chart or the network diagram. And next, you have to handle the uncertainty using the buffer and the updates. And finally, approve the schedule baseline. So the your main conclusion is good project controls the needs both clear scope and the realistic time plans. I repeat again, good project is going to control the needs of both clear scope and the realistic time plan. Okay, so this is just a last minute revision, what to memorize. Okay, so if you have this slide screenshot before going to the exam, you can just revise this, okay, for a minute. Yeah, so that's it for this video, and you will find the notes along with the question and answer in vtusmartprep.com. Okay, so there you have to sign up. Once you sign up, you'll get the confirmation mail. You have to confirm it, and then you have to sign in or log in. And in the department, you can choose the open elective and then choose the semester 6 and followed by the subject name. So once you choose it, you'll find the notes for this particular subject. Okay, and you can read it. So that's it for this video. And if you want PYQs or the important questions for module 3, you can comment down on this video. Okay, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also share it with your friend so even they can pass the subject, right? So yeah, see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.